Everything you thought you knew about Jesus was just the tip of the iceberg? What if hidden beneath the surface lies wisdom so profound? It could completely transform how you see spirituality and faith. Today, I'm revealing one of Jesus' most powerful teachings, something so overlooked, so misunderstood, that it might just change the way you think about him forever. Stay with me till the end, because what I'll share could challenge everything you believe. Throughout history, countless scholars and historians have debated the true nature of Jesus, his teachings, his purpose, and even his identity. But what if some truths were intentionally hidden, lost in translation, or misunderstood across time? In this video, we'll uncover the hidden secrets behind Jesus' teachings and explore why these profound insights might still be relevant today. Before we dive in, let me ask you, what do you believe is the most misunderstood teaching of Jesus? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because your perspective matters here. And now, let's peel back the layers and uncover the truth. Part 1. Misconceptions about Jesus. What if I told you that the image of Jesus you've grown up with, peaceful, serene, and predictable, is only half the story? What if his teachings weren't just kind words, but a call to revolution that shook the ancient world to its core? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we'll uncover the hidden side of Jesus' message. Truths so radical, they were silenced, distorted, and feared by the powerful. And what we find might just change how you see him forever. Let's face it, most of us have a neatly packaged idea of who Jesus was. Maybe you picture him as the gentle shepherd, the healer, or the teacher of universal love. And while those images are beautiful, they barely scratch the surface. What if I told you that his real message was so revolutionary that it threatened empires, challenged religious authorities, and upended societal norms? Yes, Jesus wasn't just a preacher of peace. He was a disruptor, a figure who dared to speak truth to power. For centuries, Jesus has been portrayed in a specific way: gentle, serene, and dare I say, predictable. But the truth? It's far more complex. Did you know that some of his teachings were considered so dangerous, so revolutionary, that they threatened the power structures of his time? These weren't just nice moral lessons. They were radical calls to action. Let's start by unearthing some of the biggest misconceptions about Jesus. And as we go along, I want to hear from you. What surprises you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. 1. The sanitized image of Jesus. First, let's address the image of Jesus that's been ingrained in many of us. A passive figure, simply preaching kindness and peace. While these are part of his message, they don't tell the whole story. In his time, Jesus wasn't seen as a passive figure at all. He was a disruptor, a challenger of the status quo. His words didn't just inspire, they unsettled, provoked, and often enraged those in power. For instance, the idea of turning the other cheek is often misunderstood as an act of submission. But in the context of his time, it was a form of resistance, a way to confront injustice without resorting to violence. It wasn't about accepting oppression. It was about exposing its cruelty. 2. Love and forgiveness. Revolutionary, not simple. Take his message about love and forgiveness. Today, we hear phrases like love your neighbor or forgive those who wrong you and think they're straightforward moral teachings. But in Jesus' time, these ideas were revolutionary. In a society ruled by honor codes, vengeance was the norm. If someone wronged you, retaliation wasn't just expected. It was seen as necessary to preserve your dignity. Then comes Jesus, boldly saying, "Forgive your enemies." To the people of his time, this wasn't just radical. It was incomprehensible. Why do you think such a profound message was so feared by those in power? Drop your theories in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. 3. Challenging societal norms. Jesus didn't stop at personal relationships. He challenged entire societal structures. When he said, "Blessed are the meek," he wasn't just offering comfort to the downtrodden. He was flipping the power dynamics of his time, elevating the marginalized and calling out the hypocrisy of the elite. This is why his teachings weren't just spiritual, they were political. They questioned the systems that kept people oppressed. Imagine being a ruler or a religious leader hearing this. You'd see Jesus not as a gentle preacher, but as a threat to your authority. So here's a question for you. If Jesus were delivering this message today, how do you think the world would react? Would his words be celebrated or silenced again? Let me know in the comments. But here's the thing. These misconceptions only scratch the surface. There's a deeper, often overlooked layer to Jesus' teachings. A layer that reveals just how transformative his message really was. Curious? Let's dig into the hidden meanings behind his words. As we continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're finding this exploration intriguing. And I want to hear your voice in this conversation. What's your take on these ideas? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this discussion alive. Part 2. Analyzing Jesus' teachings. Imagine being transported 2,000 years into the past. You're sitting on a hillside, surrounded by a crowd, and a man named Jesus begins to speak. His words challenge everything you know about power, justice, and the way the world works. But here's the twist. Without the modern lens of translation and historical context, would you truly grasp the depth of his message? Or would it sound like riddles in the wind? Today, we're peeling back the layers of Jesus' teachings, exploring what they really meant in their time and why they're more revolutionary than you might think. Throughout history, Jesus' words have been quoted, celebrated, and sometimes misunderstood. But here's a question for you. How often do we stop to consider what his teachings meant to the people who first heard them? These weren't abstract ideas or poetic musings. They were powerful, often radical declarations that turned the world upside down. Today, we're diving deep into the revolutionary nature of his message. And as we go, I want to hear from you. Which of these insights surprises you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. 1. The radical nature of blessed are the meek. Let's start with one of the most famous lines. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. At first glance, it might seem like a comforting platitude, an assurance for those who feel powerless. But in its original context, this was a bold statement that flipped the societal norms of the time. Back then, power and dominance ruled. The strong conquered, the wealthy controlled, and the meek, they were overlooked, dismissed, or worse. So when Jesus proclaimed that the meek, not the mighty, would inherit the earth, it wasn't just a feel-good sentiment. It was a direct critique of the existing power structures. Think about it. What would it feel like to hear those words as someone oppressed by the Roman Empire, or as someone excluded by the religious elite? This wasn't just a promise of future reward. It was a declaration of dignity for those who had none. So, what do you think Jesus meant by meek? Was it about quiet submission, or is there a hidden strength in humility? Let me know your thoughts. 2. Turning the other cheek. A bold act of defiance. Now, let's talk about a teaching that's often misunderstood. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other also. To many, this sounds like a call to passivity, a suggestion to accept mistreatment. But when we look closer, we see something far more powerful. In Jesus' time, a slap on the right cheek wasn't just an act of aggression. It was an insult meant to degrade and humiliate. By turning the other cheek, the victim wasn't submitting. They were refusing to accept their status as inferior. This wasn't about allowing abuse. It was a creative, non-violent way to confront oppression and demand equality. Turning the other cheek forces the aggressor to see you not as a victim, but as an equal. How often do we take this phrase at face value, without understanding the revolutionary dignity it embodies? Drop a comment if this interpretation changes how you view this teaching. 3. The challenge of loving your enemies. Here's another teaching that continues to baffle us. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. In a world that often celebrates vengeance and justice through retribution, this idea seems almost absurd. Why would anyone love their enemies? But Jesus wasn't asking for blind affection. He was challenging us to break the cycle of hatred and retaliation. In his time, revenge wasn't just personal, it was institutionalized. Entire communities were caught in endless cycles of conflict. Loving your enemy wasn't about excusing their actions. It was about refusing to let hatred dictate your life. It was about reclaiming your humanity and rising above the toxic power of vengeance. Do you think this is achievable in today's world? Or is it an ideal that's simply too difficult to practice? Let's discuss it in the comments. So far, we've explored how Jesus' teachings turn conventional wisdom on its head. But there's one teaching, one profound piece of wisdom, that stands above the rest. It's not just a key to understanding his purpose. It's a lesson that could redefine how you live your life. Ready to uncover it? Let's dive in. As we uncover these deeper meanings, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're enjoying this exploration. Your support helps us bring more thought-provoking content like this. And now, it's your turn. Which of these teachings resonates with you the most? Share your insights in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going. And if you know someone who would find this discussion fascinating, send this video their way. Part 3. The Greatest Teaching. What if the most profound secret about life and divinity isn't hidden in the heavens or ancient texts, but deep within you? That's right. Jesus left us a clue, a message so transformative it could redefine how you see yourself in the world. Curious? Stay with me, because this is a revelation you won't want to miss. Throughout history, Jesus' teachings have sparked countless debates and interpretations. But there's one teaching that stands above the rest. A statement so simple yet so profound that it has the power to change everything. The kingdom of God is within you. Think about that for a moment. It's not about a distant paradise or an unattainable ideal. It's about you, your potential, your connection to the divine, and your role in the world. Today, we're diving deep into this extraordinary teaching, unraveling its true meaning and exploring how it can transform not just your life, but society as a whole. And as we go, I want to hear from you. What does this teaching mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's uncover this mystery together. 1. The kingdom of God is within you. A radical idea. Let's start by breaking this down. The kingdom of God is within you. At first glance, it seems simple, a comforting phrase about self-worth and spirituality. But in its original context, this was a revolutionary idea that challenged both religious and societal norms. In Jesus' time, the divine was often portrayed as external, a distant God ruling from above, accessible only through rituals, temples, or intermediaries. This statement flipped that belief on its head. It wasn't about searching for God in the heavens or conforming to rigid doctrines. It was about discovering the sacred within ourselves. Imagine the courage it took to proclaim such an idea in a world where power was centralized and access to the divine was controlled by institutions. What do you think Jesus was trying to tell us about our own divinity? Let me know in the comments. 2. A call to personal responsibility. This teaching also carries a profound implication. If the kingdom of God is within us, then we are responsible for nurturing it. Think about it. What does it mean to carry divinity within? It's not just a comforting thought. It's a call to action. It means we have the power to shape our lives and the world around us, not through external forces, but by cultivating the divine spark within. This isn't about perfection or following a strict set of rules. It's about growth, self-awareness, and compassion. It's about recognizing that every action we take, every word we speak, has the potential to either reflect or obscure that inner divinity. Pause for a moment and reflect. How do your daily choices reflect the divine within you? And if this teaching resonates, share your thoughts below. Let's start a dialogue about what it means to take responsibility for the kingdom of God within us. 3. Transforming society from within. Now, let's take this idea a step further. What if every person truly believed and embraced the idea that the kingdom of God is within them? Imagine the ripple effect. Instead of seeking power over others, people would focus on empowering themselves and those around them. Instead of conflict, there would be understanding. Instead of fear, there would be love. This teaching isn't just about personal spirituality. It's a blueprint for societal transformation. By shifting our focus inward and recognizing the divine in ourselves, we naturally begin to see it in others. But here's the challenge. This isn't an easy path. It requires humility, introspection, and the courage to confront our flaws. It demands that we move beyond blaming others or external circumstances and take ownership of our role in the world. So, what do you think? Is this vision of a transformed society achievable, or is it just an ideal? Share your perspective in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. 4. The practical wisdom behind the teaching. Let's ground this teaching in our daily lives. How can we embody the idea that the kingdom of God is within us? Here are a few practical ways. Self-reflection. Take time each day to reflect on your actions and intentions. Are they aligned with compassion, integrity, and love? Mindfulness. Be present in your interactions. Recognize the divine spark, not just within yourself, but in everyone you meet. Service. Use your gifts and resources to uplift others. When we help others discover their inner light, we strengthen our own. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Small, consistent steps toward living with purpose and authenticity. Which of these practices resonates with you the most? Or do you have your own ways of connecting with your inner divinity? Let me know in the comments. At its core, this teaching is a reminder of our infinite potential and interconnectedness. But here's the thing. Understanding it is just the beginning. To truly live it, we must challenge ourselves to act, to grow, and to share this light with the world. So, how do we take this wisdom and make it a part of our daily lives? Jesus' words, "The kingdom of God is within you," are more than just a teaching. They're an invitation to see the divine not as something distant or unattainable, but as something present here and now within each of us. Imagine what could happen if we embrace this truth. If we stopped looking outward for validation and started looking inward for transformation. So, here's my challenge for you. Take a moment today to reflect on this teaching. What does it mean to you? How can you live it out in your own life? And as you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. And if this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Together, we can spread this light far and wide. Today, we've uncovered some of the hidden secrets of Jesus, misunderstood teachings, profound historical context, and timeless insights that still resonate in our modern world. But what if I told you this is just the tip of the iceberg? The journey toward deeper spiritual understanding doesn't end here. It's a lifelong quest, filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled and truths waiting to be discovered. So, let me ask you, what struck you the most today? Was it the radical depth of his teachings, the context that transformed their meaning, or the invitation to look inward for the kingdom of God? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below, because your perspective is an essential part of this journey. If you found value in today's exploration, take a moment to like this video. It helps us reach others who are also seeking answers. And don't forget to subscribe to Ancient Faith Explorations, where we dive into the hidden truths of history and spirituality every week. Now, let's take this one step further. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these words, someone who's searching for clarity or inspiration. Together, we can reignite the spark of wisdom that history left behind. And as you go about your day, remember this: the answers we seek are not always out there in the world. They often lie within us, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Until we meet again, keep seeking, keep questioning, and stay curious. The mysteries are endless, and we're just getting started. Let's uncover them together.